Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, Elizabeth and Andrei. Let's watch.
Your keys, I don't need it anymore. There's so many possibilities in America. I'm not gonna stay in this house anymore, and we're gonna get out.
We don't really have like enough money to put down on like an apartment right now.
I'm just gonna work my ass off, and we're gonna pay everything that we need to pay, and we're not gonna depend on your father.
Okay, so Elizabeth comes home, tells Andrei about her conversation with the father. It bothers both of them. They're both angry about it, that the father is, I think, insulting them and pulling strings and getting involved. And they both want to move out. And Andrei's like, that's it. I don't want to depend on the father anymore. We're going to move out. I don't want him in my life anymore. Okay, makes sense. He says, I'm going to work my butt off, and I'm going to make sure that I never have to depend on him ever again. Okay, you know, maybe that's for the best. Maybe that would really help the two of them so that they could push back when they want to, and they don't have to listen. Because right now, there's this at least emotional pressure to listen to him because he is letting them stay in this house for free.
I don't care.
Well, I do. It's my family.
They stab us in the back. That's what they get.
You two need to hash it out. I'm not the mediator.
You don't need to hash it out.
I've
hashed it out right now. I'm moving out and I don't need him. That's it. As of this second, I don't accept anything from him. I will do whatever it takes.
Okay, so I don't know the financial landscape of this family, but we just saw an interesting transition that happened. She comes home and she is pretty upset about the way her dad talked to her. And then Andrei goes the next step and says, that's it, fine, we're moving out. I'm gonna work my butt off and we're moving out. Now Andrei isn't saying, I'm gonna kick his butt, I'm gonna yell at him. He's just saying, I just don't wanna be underneath this guy's thumb anymore. I'm gonna work my butt off and we're gonna move out. Then Elizabeth changes. She kind of does a 180 at that point. She's like, wait, you need to work it out with, you know, we can't really afford a place and you have to work it out with my dad. And that's an interesting change. She seemed really upset at the dad at first. And then Andrei's like, okay, fine, we're going to move out. And then, so I don't know, this is really speculative, but I wonder if the daughter wants to be in the realm of the father on some level, while also complaining about him. I don't know. That's a very long shot speculation, but I've seen it before where grown kids will want to be dependent on their parents for the benefits, financially or otherwise. And they also kind of like the idea that they get to complain about them often. It's an adolescent way of being. Teens are often like this. They don't, especially if there's difficulties, which I treated a lot of teens with a lot of difficulties in families. And on one level, they did not want to move out and live on their own because they didn't want to have to get a job and pay their bills. But they absolutely also did not want their parents involved in their lives. So they wanted all the benefits, but they didn't want any of the bother of having to comply with any rules or any kind of respect. And so maybe Elizabeth is kind of stuck in that position. I don't know. There's no way for me to know the answer to that question. I'd have to ask her. But I don't know. Let's just keep that in mind as we move forward.
To provide for my family, because that's what a man does.
How are we going to do it on our own?
We're moving out, and we're gonna work, and we're gonna pay as everybody does it. I will do tracking. I'm gonna take care of this, and we will work it.
So I think another factor here, exhibited by the way Elizabeth is acting right now, is I think she might also be worried that Andrei is going to move out tomorrow, and the two of them are going to be homeless, essentially. So I think that's probably mostly what's going on here, rather than what I was saying earlier. I think mostly what Elizabeth is concerned is, oh no, I created a monster here. He's really angry, and he's going to do something drastic, and he's going to get us kicked out of this house. Or he's going to just pack up our stuff and move us out. And we don't have any money. We don't have any savings. We don't have enough money to put money down on an apartment. And I don't think Andrei understands how getting a job works, or I don't know. He doesn't seem to be realistic about this situation right now. And it's kind of exhibited by the way Andrei is talking right now. He's like, it's fine. I will get into trucking and I'm going to pay my bills. You know, he seems to not have like a clear path. If he said something like, well, I have this guy who said he would hire me and it's going to be for this amount of money and it's going to be for this job, which I'm qualified for, and this will earn me this amount of money, and then in 2 months we'll save up and we'll get her, you know, if he had that kind of statement, maybe Elizabeth would be like, okay, fine, we have a plan, instead of just this impulsive act of, we're moving out now.
Stress that I don't need right now.
At this moment of time, we're starting looking for an apartment tomorrow, and we're moving out from this.
This is too much. I need a minute to think about this. Like,
you don't have to.
Okay, all right.
No, you don't have to go anywhere. You're gonna talk right now
like,
to the end. Do you understand this? Where are you going?
Okay, this is interesting. From the beginning, they have been talking about how he's the man of the house, and she has been somewhat okay with it and also not okay with it, and it seemed like maybe it was working out for the most part in terms of his, I'm the head of the family and it's my way, and when I'm raging and angry, you're going to listen to me. And you know, that can work in some families. I personally wouldn't want to be in a relationship like that, but it can work. And for example, in the previous season, when he was saying, she is not going to do a bachelorette party, and that doesn't make any sense to me, and you're not going to go to the club, and essentially intimating that she would be a slut if she did that. And she said, nope, I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to have a bachelorette party. I'm still going to go to the club, and that's just the way it's going to be. He didn't like it. He was bothered about it. He used some ugly language afterwards, but I don't know, they seemed to adjust. It wasn't extremely alarming in terms of this head of the household idea, this masculine idea. Now, in this situation, it seems to not be working out for them, where he's really triggered right now. He's really angry. He's like, no, we're moving out. I'm gonna do it. And she's like, whoa. Let's think about this for a second, because, you know, we're gonna essentially saying we are on the same tier level where we both have power. You can't just unilaterally make this choice. We have to talk about this calmly. Elizabeth is trying to involve, like, whoa, let's wait a second. And he's like, no, you don't need to think about it. I'm going to do it all. I'm going to take care of it. And she's like, wait, I don't know if I want to move out right away. He's like, no, this is going to happen right now, and you're going to listen. And, you know, and we see how this head of the household thing isn't going over well with Elizabeth, and it's starting to show its cracks in the foundation. So how could the two of them communicate about it? She could say, honey, I understand that you're upset, and I'm with you. I'm upset too. I just don't want you to do anything impulsive, okay? You're free to look for apartments. If you want to look for apartments, sure. But I think we need to sit down and really budget this thing out. And I think you should have a job first and get your first paycheck, and then we can start thinking about whether or not we're going to move out. And until then, I think we kind of have to play by Dad's rules. I don't want to live by his rules any more than you do, but I think we have to do that. And honestly, the way you're talking to me right now, it hurts my feelings. It makes me feel like you don't think that I matter. But you know, we're on the same team. I agree with you. I want to move out. I just think we should take this, intelligently. We should move through this process in a slow, methodical way to make sure that we actually succeed at this. And from his point of view, he could say something like, no, I'm done. And I get it that you don't trust that I can figure it out, but I'll figure it out. And honey, I'm not going to make any impulsive decision. I'm not going to make us homeless, but I'm so angry right now. I'm very motivated. I'm going to get a job. I'm going to earn money, and I'm going to look for a place because I'm sick of being underneath his thumb. But trust me that I'm not going to do anything before we talk about it. I'm just real riled up right now. He could say something like that. Let's see what they do. Well, she just walked out, so I guess we have the answer to that question.
So he wants you guys just to be respectful of it. Elizabeth seems pretty stressed out, but they're getting all of this help from my dad, and my dad's obviously going to expect something out of them, something from them with everything that he's given them.
Andrei freaked out last night, and he got so mad.
Okay, so that's another data point in terms of my hypothesis that this family operates under a rule that the father has a lot of resources that he can give, and he expects things in return. We've seen a lot of the father's statements around this idea, even before he gave anything. Well, I guess he gave Elizabeth a job, but before he even really met Andrei, he expected Andrei to show him respect, to ask for his daughter's hands in marriage. The father seems to have a lot of expectations of, look, I give you money and houses and jobs, and you give me respect. You let me influence your life. You give me certain things that I want. And on one level, as I've been saying from the beginning, if it is clear as a quid pro quo in that way, then okay. And Elizabeth didn't need to move into that house. That's what they said, or the father said that Elizabeth and Andrei came to them. They were affording an apartment, and they could have stayed in that apartment, I think. I'm not quite so sure. But they didn't. They wanted more space because they had dogs and other kinds of things. And so they signed up for a contract of, okay, I'm going to give you this free house, but you're going to have to give me emotional respect, and you're going to have to do these kinds of things. You're going to have to follow my rules, or you're going to have to allow me to influence the situation. So on one level, you could say that that's a fair deal. On another level, you could say you're using money to control other people in an unfair way. But anyway, the other daughter just said, look, if he's going to give you money, then, let's rewind that and hear that statement, because I think that helps us to understand the rules of this family.
Elizabeth seems pretty stressed out, but they're getting all of this help from my dad, and my dad's obviously going to expect something out of them, something from them, with everything that he's given them.
Andrei, free.
So with everything that he's giving them, he, of course, is going to expect something from them. Okay. Again, on one level, I think that is fair. If expecting something from them is keep up the house, make sure that he's working on getting a job, I guess, it's okay. But it just makes me wonder what else under the surface is going on in this family. It's hard. I feel like if I had a chance to really assess the whole family over a few sessions, I'm pretty sure I would have a much better idea of what's going on. But I feel like there's something going on in this family. Maybe it's not nefarious. Maybe it's just something that I'm having a hard time putting my finger on, but let's continue watching.
Andrei doesn't want us to, get any more help from him, but...
Andrei doesn't want you to ask Dad for help.
No,
So then how is that going to go?
I'm gonna have to ask him without Andrei knowing. I mean, what's the other option?
But how is that going to be? I mean, it's not going to just fall out of the sky,
Just
the
tell him
money.
that it's like my paycheck or something. I don't know.
So this is not a good idea. What Elizabeth should be doing is going to Andrei and saying, we got to talk about what's happening right now. Again, we're on the same page. We both don't want to live underneath my father's thumb. We both don't like the fact that he holds this over our heads. But let's be careful. Let's make sure that we succeed. We both want to succeed. Let's take our time. Let's do the budget. Let's figure it out. I find that a lot of couples on this show, and maybe couples everywhere, I don't know. I don't see the couples that I talk to in my practice and my friends, they don't operate this way, but maybe I'm in this weird pocket of financial communication. But a lot of the couples on this show, they seem to operate without discussing any kind of budget of any kind. They just act very impulsively and as if there's no plan. There's a way to plan this out where she's working, I think, right? I'm guessing there's going to be a bit of a lag in her work because of the pregnancy, right? And he has job prospects, presumably. So once he gets a job, then he'll know how much he's earning, and then you just plan it out, and then you get a budget, and you save money, and you make it all rational. It's all mathematical. You can't, instead of what Elizabeth is doing right now, instead of sitting down with Andrei and figuring out a plan, she's going to go behind Andrei's back, ask the dad for, so let me figure this out. So they were in an apartment, and they didn't like it because it was too small. So they asked the dad to move into one of his houses. He said yes, as long as you keep the house up. They move into the house. The father starts to exert some control. They don't like it, and they want to move out of the house. They want to move back into an apartment. And instead of dealing with it in a planned way, she's now going to go behind Andrei's back, get money from the dad so that they can afford an apartment, and she's going to lie to Andrei that she got the money from her paycheck So they're moving from being in one situation underneath the dad's thumb into another situation in the dad's thumb. But the second situation, now she has a lie that she's telling Andrei. This is like, I hope she doesn't go through. I think she's smarter than that. I don't think she'll do. I'm guessing she's just brainstorming at this point. Let's watch.
And saying that he's not fulfilling that aspect of what he is as a person.
All right, well, I mean, if you guys move out, just know that Dad won't be happy about it. It could be like the final straw. You know, maybe Dad won't help you guys out if he feels like you guys are moving out and leaving him high and dry.
Again, I think that there's some kind of thing going on in this family of if you fall out of Dad's favor, then he's not going to help you out. There's some kind of thing going on in this family where everyone is under this assumption that you have to please the father, and the father is a fountain of money. But in order to get that huge amount of money and that all those benefits, you got to play by his rules. It seems like everyone is on board with that idea, which, again, from the beginning I've been saying, on one hand, you could say, well, if you don't want him bothering you, then don't take his money. But on the other hand, you could say, well, why would you have those kind of gifts or those favors with strings attached? On the other hand, you could say, maybe everyone has been tricked into this mindset of must please Dad, must please Dad. Dad has I need expensive things, and I don't want to have to depend on my own because if I just play by Dad's rules, and if you know how kind of touchy he is, but if you follow his rules, then we'll all be safe. We'll all have money, and we'll all have our life set for us. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it. Let me know in the comments. Am I reading into this? I feel like maybe I am. I mean, I very well could be because I don't have enough data to go off of to really know what's going on. But there just seems to be something along those lines going on in this family. I don't know.
I've never kept anything from him. But at this point, going behind Andrei's back and asking my dad for a deposit is my only option.
Your only option? I mean, unless I'm missing something, which I could be, that is not your only option. I'm not even in your life, Elizabeth, and I know that you have at least one other option, which is you go to Andrei and you say, honey, we're on the same page. Let's slow down. I want what you want. You want what I want. I understand that you want to move out right away. I want to move out too, but let's plan this out. Let's maybe give it a couple months so that we can really, you can see eye to eye. You don't have to lie to your husband to fix this problem. And you're not only lying to your husband, but you're lying to him in the exact way that your husband is going to be upset about. I thought she wouldn't go through with that brainstorm, but it looks like she's thinking about it. All right, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.